30A, the part 1 and part 3 are related to the county. Part 1 is for the statutes associated with counties, and part 3 are statutes associated with the plantations in the unorganized areas. In Chapter 3 of Book Title 30A, it talks about county budgets and finance. So that a lot of the things that I deal with are in Chapter 3. In the county, we have 3 separate budgets that we do. We do one for the UT, which is done during the October-December timeframe, and Dave actually handles that. And then we do the general fund and the jail, usually January through April timeframe. And this, you probably already have this, but I'll give it to you. Thanks. This is the budget schedule that we have for this upcoming budget. And during the budget, we will go much more detail into finances. This is just going to be a basic overview. As you can see on the schedule, in the month of February, the department heads will be going over their budgets with Don, the administrator, and then in the March timeframe is when we sit down with the commissioners and go over the budget to see. Let's see. And each of the 3 areas have their own tax cap. So the UT and the general fund use the LD1 as the method of determining what the tax cap is. And when it comes to the jail has its own set tax cap, which is currently at $5,900,000.
So the cap is that you can't raise more money than that?
Correct.
And who sets the cap? Legislature? Okay.
Correct. But see, when it comes to, in the packet that I gave you last time, it should be the budget.
Yep.
Copy of this year's budget. If you look at page 4, page 4 is the LD1 calculation. Okay, so the way it starts out is it takes last year's tax cap, it takes the average real property personal income growth and the property growth, those percentages together to see what the new assessed tax cap is. So for the FY 2023, the tax cap was set at $16,882,000, which, if you can see, we came in at $13,400,000 roughly for the tax assessment, so we was under the cap by $3.5 million. But we do that calculation every year to ensure that we're underneath it. Dave does the same thing when it comes to the UT, but when it comes to the jail, like I said, if you, in section 701(2)(c) of the Title 30A, the book that I sent you, it lists all the county's jail tax cap. Ours was at 5.9. We can increase that each year by a minimum of 4% or the growth factor, whichever is higher. So at a minimum, we can increase it by 4%, and that will go each year. So even though it's set at 5.9, that's just the starting point. We can increase it as we go through. We all set with that? Okay, in your packet, I also handed a sheet that looks like this.
The old packet or the new packet?
The old packet.
Okay. This packet.
It's the fund structure.
Spread out here. That's right. Yeah, it's there. Okay, it's not this. No. Yeah, I've seen that.
Okay.
Keep going. I'll find it.
Okay. Okay, we have 14 different fund groups that we utilize. In Trio, to, I guess, organize the structure of the funds, we use what is called a field that is called department. So the department is more of a way to break up a fund. When it comes to the general fund and the jail fund, yes, the department number is designated for a department, but when you look at the UT, a department number can be a location, like Lexington, Jackman, or whatever, or it can be an organization like one of the snowmobile outfits or so on. And when it goes into like the special revenue account, which is, okay, so Fund 01 is your general, the first one. You'll see a list of all the departments below it, okay? Then comes 04, Fund 04, which is for jail. And the major department for that is just corrections, 1,500. The other ones are just used for allocation methods. And then 07 is your unorganized territories. And as you can see, like Moxie, Gore, Concord, Lexington, locations, the services are being rendered. But when you get to the end of the UTs, you will see like Valley Riders, off-grid groomers, those are more organizations. We don't really, you won't see much activity when it comes to probate surcharge or deeds when it comes to our normal daily work. But you will see some activity when it comes to these special revenue accounts. The special revenue accounts are basically different streams of revenue. And the department numbers are just used to track that and put separate buckets. We may get a specific grant, so we set up a department number just to track that one grant and so on. Yes.
Stupid question. So the numbers on the revenue and expense report, the first number, do those correspond to these numbers? Or are they this?
Yes.
Okay.
The expense.
But not the little numbers.
No.
The big numbers.
The big number
Okay.
in the gray.
Yeah, I got it. Okay.
Yeah. And so on, the Fund 12 is your capital. So each one of those department numbers listed under the capital fund are really like capital projects, groups of capital projects. Then you get to Fund 21, which is part of the TIF. It's the TIF revenue portion of it, which can be used only, those funds can only be used in the TIF district itself. And then on Fund 24, which is the TIF community benefit, that's also related to the TIF, but that can be used throughout the county. Fund 22 is the capital for the UT, and Fund, let's see, 23 is the special revenue accounts for the UT, because the UT needs to be separated from our general fund, so they have their own accounts. And then the last fund is the ARPA funds. These are the funds that we received related to COVID. And they're currently being broken down into the premium pay, hiring incentive, administrative expense, and provision for general services.
I'm afraid if I don't ask the questions now, I'll never understand. So let me just
No.
in terms of being able to read these things.
Sure.
So the gray number corresponds to the fund structure. Like this says 1,000 emergency management, and this says EMA, so that's good. Then there's the numbers in the blue, which is,
Okay.
that's not on this.
No, if you would like, what I can do is I can give you basically a chart of accounts.
I'm just trying to figure out which, so the blue numbers are a subset of,
Yes.
okay, and then the uncolored numbers that follow are a subset.
Right.
Okay, that's all you need
The
to,
first set of numbers, which is gray, is the department number when you're
Yeah.
talking about. The second set is the group of expenses, expense types. So like you have wages, employee benefits,
Yep.
employee costs, and so on. And then the third set of numbers are the ones that tie down to the actual account itself.
okay, thank you.
And when you look at the warrants, when you look at the invoices, you will see that people put like E space, and then the 12-digit number, 3, 3, and 3, that will correspond with this.
The 12 digits being a combination of all, okay,
Yeah.
okay, sorry. Thank you,
No, so-
helpful for me.
So, like, if you look at regular wages for EMA, that account number is actually 1,000-5100-1000.
Thank you, very helpful.
Okay. On a monthly basis, I provide you with, let's see, a copy of, this is an updated copy, but provide you with a copy of the fund balances. This is one that I provided you before. This is
Thank you.
And usually, I provide these to you when you request it, or usually during the second meeting of the month, because it usually takes us that long to have all the invoices in from the prior month, so that I can give you actual month-end numbers. But these list the same structure as what I just went through. If you look at the I guess the next to last left-hand column where it says department, that corresponds with the sheet or list of departments that I correspond with. Okay. This report shows you the beginning balance at the beginning of the fiscal year, shows you the activity during the year, and shows you the current balance at that date.
Okay. Mr. Stupid again. So I'm looking at this as general fund 01, so I know I'm over here with the fund structure. And then like moving down 3, it says 3501-00, design fund balance county,
Yeah.
Madison SO, I guess that is. And that says department 461.
Correct.
So I go to general fund, I look down here, I don't know where the 3501 comes from, but I see the 1461.
Right,
Which is Sheriff's Office, Madison.
correct.
So what's the 3501? What does
These
that,
are general ledger account numbers.
so we,
Those are the balance sheet account numbers. Really what you should focus on is the, if you want to say the terminology,
yeah,
like when it says contingency account, that account, which has 100,000 in it, can be used for emergencies.
mhm,
So if you have an expenditure that comes up that wasn't budgeted for, and we didn't know was coming out, you can use those funds to cover that cost. The top line where it says undesignated fund balance, that's basically what it is. This is the fund balance that, for the general fund that has not been designated for any specific purpose. This is the amount that would be at the end of the year when we do the next budget. We would look to see and hold back 20% of that, 20% of the next coming budget. Say you have $10 million worth of budget. You take 20% of that, and that's how much you're supposed to retain for undesignated fund balance. Anything over and above that 20% is you're supposed to roll back into the next budget year to offset taxes. So during this budget process, what we're going to be going through in March, I will show you or present to you what the undesignated fund balance is and what needs to be put back through the budget stuff.
but just, again, I hate to, these, I'm just trying to figure, when I look at a sheet like this, I have to know what the numbers are. So this number, like, 01, this 3400-00 contingency account, what's that number? What's that code?
What I'll do is I'll give you a chart of accounts.
Okay.
This-
That's not the blue or the gray, or that's...
No, this is balance.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I'm totally helpless with it, I apologize.
No, when you talk about the fund balances, those are all balance sheet accounts. And all the other ones are your revenue.
Right,
and
okay.
expense account. But I'll provide you a list, a chart of accounts for the expense and budget. So the next one down, that is designated the fund balance, Somerset County Jail debt. That is the balance to utilize, reserve to utilize to go against the jail debt. That balance will go up at year end by roughly another $4 million because of the ARPA fund, well, because of the tax funds that were put through from last budget, hasn't been applied yet. So when the plan is 2 years, well, by the end of FY 2024, is to have this fully funded, so this balance should be close to $8 million, which would be used for future payments of the jail debt, so the debt will be totally reserved for. The next one down where it says Madison SO, we have a contract with Madison, the town of Madison, to supply them with patrol officers and SRO officers. What we do there is we have a set budget and we bill them, but if for some reason the actual expense is not as high as the budget, this is the balance left over, and it's set aside to be used exactly for that purpose. So we want this contract with Madison to be basically a no earning contract. Whatever expenses occurred, they're agreed to pay, and if we have any overages, we pay it back to them. So this is set aside for that purpose. We have the same agreement when it comes to the UT. We have a couple officers that do work for the UT, which is in Dave's budget. Same thing, if for some reason the actual expense is not as high as what's budgeted, it's set aside into this separate fund account, and this is actually used during Dave's budget to offset some of the UT costs. And then we have the general fund balance funding. This is the amount that has been set aside to offset the general fund budget. This will be $600,000 at the end of the year. It'll actually come up to $600,000, then go to zero, because this year's budget plan, we utilized $600,000 of undesignated fund balance to offset this year's plan. It just hasn't transpired yet. And so on, the jail fund undesignated amount is a little over $3 million at the end of FY 2022. And the unorganized territory is roughly at 364, but a portion of that was actually utilized in Dave's budget when he presented it.
I keep apologizing, I probably should shut up. I know nothing about this. So
That's why
this is all money we have in the bank right now, these numbers. This is our,
Yes.
okay.
We actually have more cash balance than this,
Mhm.
but these are the fund
Okay.
balances. These are the funds that you can spend. Does everyone have a basic understanding of the general fund, jail fund, special revenue funds, capital funds, tip funds, ARPA funds? All the funds.
Fund.
But when we go through the budget process, at least for the top two funds, we'll get a lot more detail. We'll get down to the
Okay.
account level detail. And also, at the, I give you a sheet like this at the end of each fund,
Okay.
which summarizes by department, the high-level expenses and so on. And currently, the only department that I see that is trending to be negative at the end of the year or unfavorable to the budget is the county commissioner's line because of legal fees. Now, this, John, this one that you were looking at, that has that detail, I don't normally provide that, but I can provide that also. I usually only provide the summary one, but I have this file also, so I can provide that if you gentlemen would like that much detail. I'm here to
Were we able to ask for that on a case-by-case basis?
Sure.
Okay, so if one particular month was out of the ordinary, that'd be great.
How does the money come in, so to speak, from the tax assessment? It's not like, you're not, the towns pay up right off of that? It's not like waiting for the taxpayers of the town.
No, they usually, some of them pay quite fast, but majority of them wait till the last day.
But you don't have to get tax anticipation loans or any of that?
No, but we do, no, the tax anticipation loans is whether we, our cash balance. And we've been, since I've been here, we've never had to do one of those because we had sufficient cash on hand. But when it comes to the billing process for the assessments, once we hit July 1st, I usually go through and do up invoices. And the invoices will be dated as of September 1st, but the payments are due by end of October. And they'll, some of them may come in right in July when I send it out, and look, but the majority of them come in October time.
We've never had a tan since I've been here either.
Never had a,
We've never had a tan.
No.
oh, yeah, I didn't think so,
We've
yeah.
never had a tan since I've been here either.
We have in the past,
Yeah.
Before my time. Before Pat.
All right, that's very interesting.
Also, I included in those books a copy of our charter. I don't know if you have a copy of that also.
can't have enough of those.
The warrants, I had a question about the warrants. The warrants are usually processed on a Tuesday prior to the commissioners meeting, and by the end of the day, they're delivered to administration for your ability to have access to review them. So that's when we normally have that for review. Now, when it comes to purchases, there is a section in, I think I actually put it in front of your binder. There is two sections. There's a section in the Title 30A, Section 124, and then there's Title 5, which is Chapter 155, which talks about the bidding process and the purchasing process when you are purchasing something that is greater than $2,500. You have to go through the bid, competitive bid process. So that's just information for you on that. And
For clarification, is that set by statute, or is that a policy that we can raise or lower?
statute. Yeah. I guess that's about it that I wanted to cover with you right now. Of course, we'll go in a lot more detail when we get into the budget.
This is very helpful for me, because I can read this stuff.
And you guys know where I live. Just see me if you have any questions.
Sure will be there.
When he does this, when Patrick, when you do it on the board, you go over it and we can follow you a lot better than on paper.
No, we're gonna get the lawyer out of here. She was waiting for them to turn the document, but we'll get right back into that as soon as they're done.
All set?
Yep,
Thank you very much.
No. So Becky had her office run over the document with the changes you requested. She's gonna pass that out.
Yeah, here's copies of it.
Get this resolved.
On the original, I have the survey plan attached to it, but she didn't have it in the office to make it out of Okay, yep.
Thank you.
And then.
okay.
Get in there.
We have a motion already made.
I can read that off if you'd like.
Prepared.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you read it off?
Yeah.
Tell me which commissioner's gonna motion. Okay, Commissioner Cezak is going to motion to approve the granting of an easement to abutter Charles Vayu Jr. in accordance with the building and maintenance deed.
Second.
Hang on. So moved.
Second.
Okay, any questions? All in favor? Passes.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Who has the original?
Sid.
Sid has? Okay, Sid, that needs signatures now, please?
Oh, good.
You got a notary?
You're gonna have to work now, right?
Whatever you need. I mean,
Yeah, I'll talk to everyone.
you only have to notarize the first
Yeah,
signature.
that's the original with the deed on,
Every kid, Rusty.
I mean, with the map.
You a notary, Don?
Yes, I am. I'm a lawyer, so that trumps my.
But you don't have the seal usually. You know,
No, I didn't bother you this time because I didn't.
Just ready for me?
No,
Yep, it's on that first page, please.
is that right?
Yeah.
You want?
Oh, yeah, that's them.
I thought you said you were one time. You get a seal?
I do have to. Because sometimes it isn't the
Sid, you didn't sign.
Yeah, whatever you want.
Say again?
I haven't
You
signed.
haven't signed. No, I still need to.
No, when we got these, they weren't approved yet.
Well,
Right,
you three were on that first page, so I
right.
so I don't
There I
get
am.
confused.
That.
I'll be the witness.
There you are.
Okay. Keep forging ahead.
Thank you.
No kidding.
Back to what?
When he does these on the board, when he does the budget with us,
Yeah.
you'll have this,
Yeah.
it'll be in big,
It's not
Yeah, it'd be nice instead of flipping through 5 or 6
Right.
different sections of paper to actually have what he's talking about right there.
Yeah.
And you can
you can
follow.
follow it.
Huge difference.
Yeah, it'll be a better.
Yeah.
The witness?
That shit hurts my head.
You'll be the witness, okay?
Yeah, don't
Okay. Okay. We're gonna have a discussion regarding non-union increases for the upcoming budget cycle.
Patrick, you're up for that again? We're almost done. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Yep.
You're welcome.
See you, Eli.
Thank you for your patience.
And I'll
Good
just
kid.
get a copy of it.
Yeah.
Since he was
That'd be
born.
great, thank you.
He's a doer.
Yep, thank
He's a
you.
doer.
Oh, big time.
Thank you.
Yeah, as I said before, we're in the midst of the budget season. All I'm looking for is some direction on what to use for the non-union merit increase. Currently, what's in the budget is 3.5%. That's what was used last year. The rate that you give me is not a signed in stone rate. It's more of a rate so that when I do the budget comparisons, you actually can see what the change is. It looks like Dawn's gone through and did a study on the pay rates that other counties are implementing, at least for non-union also.
Those are all on me.
Did
I passed them out a copy.
Yeah.
Page where I added is all counties on the back
Yeah.
side, the rest of towns.
How did we come up with the last figure for the last year, the 3 point?
3.5 is just what the commissioners felt was the right
Was that based on inflation or some other?
Right, so the towns told me they were basing theirs on the 7% inflation rate.
Oh.
I'm not sure what the other counties based theirs on.
So we decided to cut it in half, basically. And
So you decide what you think is fair and what you think is right to do.
how many employees?
Last year's.
Oh, last year.
Yeah, I just didn't know how we got to that figure, and whether we'd use the same process this year.
They had me check around and ask what everybody was doing, and I did that, and that's what they came up to, was the 3.5. It was 2.5 before that.
How many?
But the contracts, the union contracts, I think we had one of them that was at 3, so.
Yeah.
Is there a general effort to kind of have it match the union?
Somewhat, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, clerical hadn't gotten anything for like 2 years back in the past, so they tried to give them a little bit more to catch them up, make them a little more competitive. So they got a 3 when everyone else got a 2.5 in their contract, but the non-union people did the 3.5 last year.
And how many non-union people are there?
I
Ballpark.
don't know, that's a good question. We have 160 some odd employees,
20 or so?
and I'd say 20 to,
Couple dozen, yeah.
yeah, 20, 25 or so,
20 or 25?
yeah.
Do they have a cap on theirs too?
A cap? No, we do not have, that's one thing we do not have here.
No, I know,
There's a cap on anyone's wages.
no.
I defer to you.
And so whatever you decide, I'll put on the next agenda for you to
Right.
amend it. Or ratify, whatever you choose to do
Yeah.
tonight. But Patrick needs to jump off now,
I-
so when he starts doing.
You said communications was 3?
Last year.
No,
No.
you talking about this year?
Yeah,
We're talking about that.
Our existing,
yeah, existing.
One discussion.
Yeah, we just did a contract with communications, as you know, their union, and we did a $322
Right,
increase with them, not a percent.
yeah.
what would that have broken up be as a percentage?
3 this year and 2 and 2.
It's probably-
$3 and $2
Probably
$2.
close to 10%, at least. I'm trying to think what the base rate
Of
was.
course, they based their, the union came to the agreement with people here because they were so far behind everybody else's wages, we were losing people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had to do something to remedy that, that's why we did that with them.
Yeah, it's not exactly apples to apples.
No, it's
No.
not, that's why these figures here are all over.
No, because you can't
Right.
really pay somebody 16 or 17 bucks an hour to answer 911 calls and then have somebody go to McDonald's and make 18 bucks an hour. You know, you got people's lives in your hands when you're answering a 911 call, so.
Oh, yeah.
Can you just provide an example of like what kind of position is a non-union position?
All the department heads are non-union,
Oh, okay,
so that'd be myself.
Yeah. just curious.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I'm learning along with Mr. also.
Yeah, I'm way behind. So when you describe these as, use the word merit, but are we really talking cost of living, or is there a difference, or is it
Yeah,
just?
It's whatever, COLA, or whatever you want to call it. We have different terms for it, but it's basically the rate increase for the year for that employee.
But this would be across the board as opposed to,
So people don't get it
Across the
until their
board,
anniversary
non-union.
date, though. So for instance, if I won't use me, but, because I have a contract, but if somebody else, a non-union employee, their anniversary date is July 20th. On July 20th, if you've decided there'd be a 3.5% increase, that's what they get on their anniversary.
but that would be the across the board thing that we would vote.
Yes,
Because,
that would be for all non-union.
No, that wouldn't be across the board for the union contract.
no, just for the non-union.
No,
But that's different than, the last organization I worked for, they'd give you a merit increase because you were doing a good job above and beyond the code. We're not talking about that. That's, okay.
Yep, yep. And we're just looking for a number today, it's not a hard and fast number,
No,
so.
it's just so that I have something to base.
you're looking for percent or dollar amount?
They did it.
What? It's usually done by percent, but it's dollar.
No, I would feel comfortable keeping it where it's at right now, with 3.5.
3.5.
And we can adjust it later as
Right. I mean, it'd be easy to go up
100%,
a
yeah.
half or 1% one way or the other.
Right.
without Changing a lot.
No, this is just a figure to stick in, a
Right.
I
placeholder,
can change it pretty.
as it
Yeah,
were.
yeah. Gives them some numbers to do math with.
Yeah.
So it sounds like.
And you
to me.
can always wait till the next meeting to make that decision, as long as you just give Patrick some kind of jump off day, like you are.
All right,
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a motion to keep it the same,
3.5.
3.5.
3.5.
Second,
Thank you.
this is more of a consensus than a vote.
Yeah, this isn't a hard, fast number, but just to get us started on it.
Okay.
All in favor?
So who seconded?
Robert.
Thank you.
Okay, new agenda items, commissioners only.
I have none.
John?
Well, I had my 3, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on them, but I didn't know what our snow day policy was. I just wanted to find out what that was. And because I know it differs from various government institutions and,
I think I explained that in the email, how we got to that.
Yeah.
okay, well,
Can it be explained rather
Yeah,
quickly?
absolutely. So what happened was, lots of discussion went on about that. And we don't call off when the schools call off. We don't call off when the state calls off. We don't call off when the state legislature calls off. We call off when the courts call off. We've always followed the courts. The courts are held to a higher standard. The courts, as I'm told, they have a team of people that meet. We don't get the call usually till the morning, not the night before, very rare. I think we only had one snow day last year because most of the storms came on the weekends, so you never know what you're gonna get. But what happens, what they tell me they do is they sit with the road commissioners for the state of Maine, they check with the EMA services and the weather service, NOAA, and then it goes to the chief justice, I guess, and then she weighs in and decides whether or not to close the court. So we're held to a higher standard, and so,
that means they don't call it off as readily as the school.
Right.
no.
Okay.
Lots of
Okay.
times
I was
we're
gonna ask,
still
what is
here,
the
when the
standard?
schools and everything is called off, we're still here unless
Okay.
the courts call off.
Mhm.
And they are held to a higher standard, because you can't just cancel court on a dime for them. So that's why they don't like to call it off unless they absolutely have to. And the commission decided that we should stick with that higher standard, and that's what we've always done.
And it's just basically, it's a paid day for the employees. when they're-
It's a paid day if you call a snow day, yes, but as you might see in there, we all have remote capabilities because of the pandemic, so a lot of us just keep working from home. I know I do.
Right, I'm not
And you're only
saying sure.
affecting mostly this
Exactly.
building because the sheriff's department's still coming in, the jail's still
Well, that was another question I had, is that,
dispatch is still coming in. It's only the people that can do that, really. You can't have, you're not gonna have a dispatcher having a snow day, so.
does that cause bitterness and discontent, or?
Yeah.
The only people that's caused some hate, we never hear any complaints
Uh-huh.
of dispatch. The only place we've ever heard any complaints really has been from law enforcement. And they want to address that in their contract, so, that's how we've done it.
Okay, well, thank you for, that takes care of that. The other thing I mentioned the last meeting, it just seems to me that the notion of whenever an employee is hired in conformity with an already existing spot, with an existing rate of pay, I don't see it doesn't make sense to me that we would approve that. I think it's good to know about it, but it seems to be sort of performative for us to go through this process. So I just don't understand why we do it. But I do think it's very important that we stay on top of hiring and termination trends. So like, for example, I know there's a lot of turnover in the jail this year, and we ought to know about that. Maybe for me, it'd be more helpful to have, as part of our like monthly, once a month, in our book, to have a list of the turnover in the various departments. But whether, I don't have any knowledge to bring to the discussion about whether we should hire Susie Smith to be a corrections officer. So when I vote in favor of it, or I'm never going to vote against it, I don't know what I'm doing. What am I doing?
Basically a formality, but the sheriff will, He
Yeah.
decides who he hires.
Yeah, so why do we have the formality?
John, there was a time when I first came on the board,
Allison explained it.
if they hired 5 people, all 5 people would come to the meeting and be introduced and meet the commissioners. Kind of nice to know that when you're at Hannaford or somewhere, you recognize someone who works for you. I know you probably don't see it.
Okay, it's, I don't think that's
There's a lot of reasons.
We still have them come to the meeting after the fact.
it doesn't, if I was gonna actually do something, the way in and say, well, I don't know, is that person really qualified, or I don't know. I don't feel comfortable doing that. I don't feel I should be second guessing our duly appointed or elected department heads, making their, I don't think it's micromanaging, and I think it's, I'm against it. That's the only reason I'm bringing it up. And so, I don't know, if anybody wants to discuss it, or maybe a majority of one on the subject. And then my third item was the issue of getting a pass to get in the building as a county commissioner, and I think
And we've resolved that.
we resolved that, so
There you
I'm
go.
done.
Okay.
Okay.
That was
All right, minutes, resolution 2323 to accept minutes for January 18th, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions?
Before I get here.
23. This,
Yeah, you're right.
Typo.
correction.
That's mine.
Okay. All in favor? Administrators report.
I really don't have a whole lot. I think that we probably talked about anything I thought we needed to talk about, so I'm all set, thank you.
Okay. Okay, department heads, we'll start with Patrick Dolan.
I'm all set, I'm talking about.
Just give me a.
Yeah. Dave.
Things are fairly quiet except for the fire station expansion. I talked to Steve, emailed back and forth, and they want to do a punch list next week. So I wanted to see if you and Joel would like to go up and go through the station and the work they've done. And I'm unfamiliar with a lot of construction, so I know you guys have the background. And any other commissioner that chose to could probably come, but we need to set a date.
Yeah.
Let me
Oh,
know the date, so I can maybe make it.
They didn't have a suggestion, they said next week,
Yeah.
so.
well, send us something. I'm free next week.
Can you guys either, you can contact Dawn, probably easiest, but with dates you're available, what works for you? And who wants to come and who doesn't want to?
Where are we going again?
So next,
Rockland. It's a Rockland Fire Station. It's an
Okay.
hour and a half from here, basically.
Hard of hearing.
sure. For me, just throw it out there, Friday the 10th would be the better day out of all of them.
That's fine.
So just a starting point.
First of all, who's interested in coming?
I said before I'd go.
Halfway.
I'm going.
Okay. So we have a date of Friday the 10th. Would that work for
Mildly.
everybody?
Yeah.
Friday, it's
Friday
good with me.
the 10th.
I mean,
I think, I'm trying to, I'll let you know,
Okay.
Yeah.
but don't
Yeah, I mean.
Don't stop because.
Yeah, we won't hold the bus for you.
Yeah.
This is an expansion to it, and all it is another bay. So you're gonna see a big empty box,
Yeah,
you know, so that's what's gonna be there. We haven't done any paving out front. We
Yeah.
don't have that in the budget yet, but we can address that at another time. They've added fixtures inside, water lines, heating lines. They've tied into the radiant floor heat, which we had up there already. So that's what you're gonna be looking at, see the quality of the work, and anything else you see needs to be done.
Okay, so just more of a technical eye than anything at this point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's, and they've got to do some repair, they have some water damage, they tore away some of the roofing during construction.
Yes.
And an unexpected shower happened and the water got inside the wall. They'll probably address that, I think, after our punch list, but you'll be able to see what it looks like now. So, do you guys want to set a time for Friday? It's gonna take you basically 2 hours probably to get there.
Yeah, right.
We going in the county van? Or
You don't want to go,
We have a county pickup truck that seats two. So,
we have a prisoner van.
I think that's what it is.
I can provide you with a van.
I haven't ridden it since I was a teenager.
The Black Mariah, the sheriff used to say.
The first thing in the morning is best for me.
Yeah.
Get up
when you say
there.
first thing, what time?
Well,
Okay, well, you can
What
let me
time would you
know.
like to be on the road?
the first thing between me and SIP is probably two different things. He's retired.
Oh, I was only up at 4. Your turn.
Me too.
What time would you like to take off?
I was like, well,
And like,
8 seems good, yeah.
from,
Be up there at 8,
I was gonna say,
Leave here at 8.
leave here at 8. So 10 o'clock?
Yep,
at the
Be there
courthouse.
at 10.
At the courthouse. Here,
to be,
we're gonna meet,
Well,
we're all gonna go separate vehicles, is that?
I've got one room, I got one seat in my truck.
Okay.
You know, two if you don't mind getting real friendly.
Okay, so we're going to get there on our
So
own.
you either need to work it out or have the sheriff provide you with a van.
So, and not just mention, then we're gonna have a arrival time up there that we agree on, as opposed to a,
If there's
O'clock, right?
4 of us going, my truck would fit 4, no problem.
yep.
So,
maybe if
That-
we
if
fit
that's
all
gonna be
five, if everybody was going.
that's,
well, I don't know if I'm
but
going.
I don't like your driving.
Oh, very good.
Yep.
And whoever's vehicle's going up, other than my UT truck, you will be reimbursed mileage, you just have to have submitted. So,
Just give me your mileage and we'll put it in the system.
yeah, that's under commissioner mileage, so.
Okay.
Okay. Sheriff,
Patrol had, for the month of January, 1,637 calls for service. The legislature is starting up in full. I did a presentation this week in front of criminal justice during the orientation program. We had, this week, we also had our first preliminary run to be accredited as a law enforcement agency, in hopes by the end of this month to have our final few things we have to tweak, but we're on par to be accredited this, by the end of February. That's what I'm hoping for. Once that's hoping, it's called Emily. We'll make a presentation in front of the commission and Derigo Safety, which oversees our accreditation. We'll be presenting the sheriff's office and the county a plaque for being an accredited law enforcement agency.
thank you. Chief,
When it comes to law enforcement side of the house, we lost a deputy, resigned. We've got 2 coming on board right now. One of them from corrections, our community corrections supervisor is going to become a patrol deputy, and he should be transferring over in a couple of weeks. I hired a deputy whose name's on one of the
Right.
resolutions here, from Winslow Police Department. He's an academy graduate. We'd like to get him started as soon as possible. I got 4 additional openings, and I got a couple in the pipeline right now that are going through background investigations, polygraph tests, psych evals, and stuff like that, so.
and that's a killer.
How long's that process?
Yeah, it takes, by the time we get a deputy hired and working on the road by themselves, it's usually about 6 months.
Yeah.
So this one we just got from Winslow will be a shorter time. The chief's right, but if we're taking you right off the street, it's gonna be a good 6 months before we get you on the road. The FTO program for this person that's already academy trained will be a shorter turnaround. But those are anomalies, they're not the norm.
You can hide, I got you in the back.
Pointing at Tracy, right?
No,
Okay, this past Sunday, our compliance manager, Sergeant Shannon Fuller, she attended the ACA conference, that's the American Correctional Association. They're the entity that does the audits for national accreditation. During the conference, she received our certificate of reaccreditation. Enormous accomplishment of the facility. At the time of our audit in May, we were 100% compliant in all mandatory standards, 99% compliant in the non-mandatory standards. The one non-compliant being the square footage of the special management unit recreation areas. Between the audit and the conference, we were able to remedy that, so we were actually presented a score of 100% mandatory, 100% non-mandatory.
Nice.
Which is astronomical for any jail. We're one of 2 ACA accredited jails in the state. We continue, water tank replacement should be wrapped up by end of this week. That's been going very well. Our next significant maintenance project is, we had purchased electric steam kettles to replace our propane units, which have to run constantly 24/7. So this will be on demand, basically, when it's not in use, we're not drawing power.
Wow, nice.
Whereas that high pressure boiler was drawing propane 24/7. So anticipate a savings there. After today's meeting with the hires we have, we'll be at 7 CO vacancies. That's the lowest we've been in probably 3 years. And as of today, we have 12 at various stages of the process. So I don't anticipate getting all 12, but between this group and the following,
That's good.
we should be extremely close to our 36 number. On that note, historically, the jail has run a schedule for security staff, 2 day shifts and 2 night shifts, 12 hours each. 1 day shift relieves the other, 1 night shift relieves the other. For the past 3 years or so, due to our staffing crisis, we've been running modified schedules where they're actually working 4 days on and 3 days off, or essentially working an extra 12-hour shift per week. So we've set the target and are going March 1st, going to try to re-implement the 4 shifts, assuming our staffing holds to where it is. And it's actually going to reduce overtime costs and ensure more consistency across the shifts. Right now, we have 9 some days, 3 other days, whereas everyone assigned to a shift works the same days, has the same days off, so we can better regulate the numbers. So that's another, it's been a long time coming.
Very good. Pavel?
So we currently working on a new server for each department. Also like working on the cybersecurity basically daily as new threats, like they're showing up like every day basically. And also we finalize 2-factor authentication for outside agencies. So for example, like Skowhegan PD, Pittsfield PD, Sheriff's Office, and Fairfield PD, they all like required to use a 2-factor authentication to access our IMC application from outside. So that has been completed.
Okay. Thank you. I think that's it. Okay. Unfinished business, I see none. New business, Resolution 2324 to approve non-union rate increases, and I think we're going to table that until the next meeting.
Yeah, I mean, you told Patrick to use 3.5 for now. and
3.5 for now.
I'll just bump that to the next meeting. So if
Yeah.
you want to table it.
Well, I don't want to make it hard and fast, as,
That's
Yeah.
that's your decision. You want time to amongst yourselves after this and come to some agreement at the next meeting, we'll ratify it, or?
yeah, that would be better,
Table resolution number
Yeah.
23.
yeah.
Second.
All in favor? Resolution 2325 to approve William Crawford IV as full-time patrol deputy for the Somerset County Sheriff's Office.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
I'm abstaining because I think it's a waste of time to do this, as I previously noted.
Resolution 2326 to approve the transfer of $1 million from the jail unassigned surplus funds to the jail legal line.
So moved.
Second.
For anybody who doesn't know, we have a big
No.
case going with the
Yeah,
Department.
that's a good idea.
Patrick?
Yeah, that was a
Personally, I don't think we need to do this at this time. The undesignated fund balance doesn't go anywhere unless you gentlemen tell it to go someplace. So I think it's a moot point to find out more about what the case, finalizing of the case.
Well, I agree with that too, but is there a reason why we just can't do it and set it aside and take it
We
then?
already kind of have, we've already made the resolution and voted.
Yeah,
Well,
We haven't voted on it
the
yet.
thing is, we don't know how many years they're gonna go back, but if you look at the year, they did a 2-year study, and it came up to a price tag of roughly $60,000. So unless they go.
What
back-
did, what, oh, the back pay issue?
Yes, the
Okay.
pay issue, which is what we're discussing.
yeah.
And you already have 240,000 set aside for it.
Does it screw up your, to use a legal term, your bookkeeping and your end of things to have us do this? Is it better to
Well,
just
I
leave it
think we're
alone?
gonna have future discussions during the budget season on what is needed to balance the jail budget, which utilizes the undesignated fund balance.
Well, what's the total amount of money that we have available
A little over,
undesignated?
a little over $3 million.
Okay,
But
don't,
those funds were going to be utilized to do the smooth transition of the jail budget. But there will be things that come up during the budget that we will require if I currently look at the budget, we're gonna need 2.5 of that to balance the jail budget.
So what's your recommendation, Patrick?
My recommendation is you wait till after, at least after you've done the budget, to see what funds are left for you.
well, isn't there another 3 million somewhere?
Nope. There's only 3 million. There's
3 million.
Not 6 million.
I saw a paper that had 2 different $3 million amounts.
One's a general fund, which
Yeah.
cannot be given to the jail separate
Okay.
entities.
And as far as when we do find out exactly what we're going to need, is it possible that it could be a timing issue? How fast is the turnaround to move the funds over to take care of what we need to take care
The
of?
next meeting, the next commissioners meeting, you can move the funds.
So, could take as much as 2 weeks, I mean,
Yeah,
worst
most,
case scenario.
of course.
Well, we're not going to get a number on that matter that we discussed in executive session until we go through the whole legal process. Are we talking about the same thing here?
Right now, there's been a motion to reconsider filed, that was the next step. and from
Yeah, and then on and on, it could be, I assume, years, or at least a year. We don't know,
We just don't know.
before we finally get an answer on that. And
I would favor Patrick's suggestion.
I would too, I agree.
Well, my question is, if we move the money now, and don't use it by June 30th, it will go back into the surplus.
Once you move the money, it stays there until you move it away.
Well, you can move it back.
We can move it back.
We can move it back anytime we want to.
Right.
Okay,
But
well,
I guess what I'm saying is instead of moving it, why don't we wait, and then we don't move it back and so on.
well,
We'd,
I just don't want to get stuck using 2.8 million for the jail, or for the sheriffs, and then we don't have enough money left.
No, the sheriff is the general fund. They cannot touch the undesignated fund balance for the jail. The jail, that 3 million can only be used for the jail. The other 3 million that is general fund, that's what you can use for the sheriff's office, but we have to keep 20%. So you're only
20%, yeah.
So you're only looking at maybe 700,000 to 900,000 of that 2.8 that you can utilize.
Well, hypothetically, if we were in a situation where we were required to pay back pay to a certain class of individuals in a certain amount, to be determined what amount, when we figure that number out, where does that, what account does that come out of?
Right now, you have 240,000 set aside,
Yeah.
and if that doesn't cover it, then you have to take undesignated fund balance to cover it.
Not from the jail fund?
Not from the
Okay.
jail fund.
Okay, thank you.
Well, actually, no, this is from the jail fund, back wages to the.
Okay. Okay, so that's,
This is jail fund undesignated money, but we'll be using it for jail funding.
Right.
and that's the jail fund undesignated Department 1500, $3.192 million.
Well, look at the beginning balance. The ending balance, we.
Oh, okay, I got it, okay,
Almost 31, 39100.
got it.
Well,
Well, we need to do something here.
right now, we have a motion and a second to remove the money.
I would be inclined to remove my second and go with what Patrick is saying. I think that is probably a good route.
After the budget process, you can move money then, but I would suggest to wait to see what comes out through the budget.
Well, as long as we're not short, I don't care really.
Well, the thing is, either way, if you're shot, you're gonna have to go to the taxpayers for it.
Either way.
Either way, it doesn't matter.
Okay, like the three of us that
If
are
you
in
move
favor.
that $1 million, then you're gonna have less than $1 million less to balance the current year's jail budget.
Oh. Looking for a new motion then.
Motion's gone.
I make a motion that we,
It has to be the people who originally did it have
Right.
to rescind it now. So Commissioner
No, I
Cezak
can't.
motioned and Commissioner Alsop seconded.
I'll withdraw my second.
Sam?
I'll withdraw my second of the previous motion.
I'll make a motion that we table this till next meeting.
I agree.
Okay?
A second on the table?
yeah,
Is
so
there a second for the table?
Yeah, we do. All in favor? Okay, resolution 2327 to approve the correction officer hires for the Somerset County Jail. Robert Ryder, Elijah Munn, Dale Richardson, and Ashley Hunter.
So moved.
second,
All in favor? Resolution 2328 to approve the commission of William Crawford IV as deputy sheriff for the Somerset County Sheriff's Office.
Did you do that?
Nope, you
No.
approved his hire, and now you have to approve his commission.
Yeah.
So moved.
second,
All in favor? No capital reserve, unorganized territory. Warrants, resolution 2329 to approve treasurer's warrants for the general fund, Somerset County Jail, UT, in the amounts of $116,980.61 for the general fund, $281,039.26 for the Somerset County Jail, $101,461.58 for the UT, for a total of $499,481.45.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Miscellaneous discussions, commissioners only. Robert?
Sounds good, thank you.
Scott? No?
nothing today.
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay.
I've said enough.
No public hearing, no public comment, any public comment? Okay. Make a motion, I need a motion to go into executive session, Title I, Section 405A, Sheriff,
I
Personnel.
move on recess for 5 minutes.
Okay, we can do that. Recess for 5 minutes.
Patrick, did you ever find anything about EV stations? I know that was a back burner thing, but,
I haven't done any legwork on looking
Yeah.
about
because we had talked about it last year regarding if we could try something that was income generating. I know Efficiency Maine has a new
last
report
time I
on it.
remember the commission did want to pursue that. Wanted
I don't know.
private companies to pursue their own EV stations. If I remember correctly.
I think it was actually that you would look in to see if there were private companies that would pursue it here.
I have not.
Okay, and I know it's a back burner thing and not a priority, but I just was wondering where that was.
I don't know who to contact related to this.
Oh, okay, I guess I would start with Efficiency Maine, but,
I got more than you wanted.
Okay.
thank you.
I got that email, I figured that she was gonna get.
Yeah.
Get done.
I chatted up for 5 minutes.